What is going on, Lunatic Fringe? Guys, we're going to talk real quick about price action. We're going to talk about everything you need to know to get you through the day on Terra Luna Classic. Make sure you hit the like button on the way in, and let's go. We're going to start off with the price. But before we do, we're going to talk about the entire market. I want to reassure you, you're not seeing the big pump that you're looking for, and that's understandable. I'm moving around this M2 money supply, trying to get a better idea of exactly how this market is playing. And, you know, it's complicated because sometimes it takes longer than other times and stuff like that. Like I've got it offset by about 70 days right now. Doesn't look exactly right. I go back and I look at it at about 95 days and it looks, in my opinion, even worse, but then it starts to make even more sense because I don't think the bottom pivot is right and things like that. So I think the offset that we're looking at right now is, I think I'm kind of right here, right at 95 days. You look at it and you start to see some of those pieces sort of falling into place. But if we look at it from a few different contexts here, like just move it out just a tiny bit more, and I'll be done with this in just a second. Move this out just a tiny bit more, then you start to look at it. This big move right here seems to correspond right here. This dip coming all the way up seems to correspond right there. It's just taking a little bit longer. So if that is the case, and I'm not saying that it is, but if that is the case, then what we are dealing with right now is where are we in this cycle? This is this, okay? This is this, and then the rest of this right here is the top over here. Now you're seeing that it's drawing down. We're not as enthusiastic, and the reason for that is very simple. We're in a consolidation phase. We went into a consolidation phase, and let me show you why that's the case. Gold is still ripping. Now, for those of you that don't understand the economics of how this all goes to pass, money comes into risk assets. One of the biggest risk assets is gold. So the money right now is flowing into gold, which is trading at or near its all-time high day after day after day after day after day. We don't know where the end is. It doesn't appear to be in sight right now. But when we look at it from that context and we start to try to break this down and try to figure out exactly where that offset is, we know that that offset is actually a lot slower. It's more like 60 days, something like that, right? So this thing the gold is about to head so much higher. It's absolutely crazy when you start to break this down and you know, really kind of fine tooth comb it. I mean, look at that. You see the pattern is perfect, right? Or very close to perfect, but it needs to be offset just a little bit. The point to that is, money's going into gold. Money will come out of gold. When it goes out of gold, it goes into Bitcoin. Then from Bitcoin, it goes to other risk assets, but it starts with Bitcoin. So now, again, working thesis, let's remove money supply because that part's no longer relevant. And let's go back to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is in the center of a channel, which, look, the next surge is going to be up here at 134,796, somewhere around 134, 135,000. That should be the next big surge. That's where we get that big, oh my God moment. By the way, because it's taking longer to play out, the thesis does change a little bit. And by the way, I'm reading tea leaves. I'm not giving you facts, okay? And if we're in this channel until we're not in this channel. The question is, when is it going to break out? Well, it looks like to me that 135, you know, maybe we break down here, but then we would immediately probably soar up to 150,000. That becomes our next target. Now, I told you before, I think Bitcoin's to 175,000 in this bull market, but if it were to only go to 150,000, I would still say that Bitcoin had a successful bull run. Now, a lot of people would not, okay, to be very, very clear, because there's mass adoption. Strategy is buying it up. Metaplanet is buying up the Bitcoin. Every day, this ETF is just eating up and gobbling up more and more Bitcoin. It's becoming more and more scarce every single day. So why is the price going down? Well, you're being shaken out by institutions who are looking to manipulate you in order to secure a better position for themselves. And basically, what they're trying to do is, listen, if you can put 10 Bitcoin into the market right now and then get a big surge in the price and then cash it out and then wait and then accumulate 13 more Bitcoin the next time over, when you sell that 10 Bitcoin back up at the top, you've made your money back and now you have 3 Bitcoin. People are just playing the market so they can accumulate more, and that is their way to do it. And that is the price of trading. That's trading. So what does that do for Luna Classic is the question. And by the way, it doesn't do anything. Here's what matters for Luna Classic. I gave you where it was going to go. I told you that I thought that we were headed for this downward momentum. Now, I drew this line yesterday. I'm not sure that we're done. I don't know that this this is not a maximum pain moment in my opinion. This is just a where these nerds out here that are influencers like, prepare for the next level, bro, lock in, altcoin season's here, man, woohoo. You know, they do stupid stuff. Well, that to me kind of signifies more downward momentum right there. So I do think that, you know, I think my thesis here might play out, and I'm hoping that it does not, by the way. I think it's better for the project if it doesn't play out. But at the same time, when I zoom out here and I've got a higher low all along here, then I'm still long-term bullish, even though this has been a few years playing. So what I think is going to happen is I think we're going to get this move down here. We're going to get that dagger, because it's playing out that way. Then we're going to get this boom, 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 this big move to the upside. Now, the big move to the upside used to look like this right here. Used to look at the top of this range at around 4073. Well, now we need to look at it from this range, which is where the trade volume is, the bigger trade volume, right? And we see those tops right there. So, you know, maybe the move right here, the retest, if you will, goes to about 4068. That's the little breakout that we're going to have. Then we find out whether we get accepted into this range, and then that's where we talk about the top. But until we get there, we don't know exactly how this is going to play out. Again, this is just my thesis on what I think is going to happen. So what it would look like would be this move down here, and then, you know, we probably come back in that channel a little bit, get a little bounce off of that, and then boom. Then you start to see that. Now, by the way, this is drawn out. I think it actually is going to happen very, very quickly. I think it's going to be October. So, you know, it would be like this, and then boom, you know, here we are, and we're not even at the end of October yet, and that's where we are. Now, that's not the number that we're looking for. Nobody's looking for that number. I understand that. I'm not belaboring that fact. What I'm saying is that there will be some upside momentum coming. Now, what that comes down to is really you. So only you can prevent forest fires, as some fat, balding bear once said. Sign up to the channel. I appreciate that. TerraCasino.io for all your risk-based gaming needs. Again, if you bet the Chicago Bears, if you bet the Detroit Lions, you're feeling pretty good. If you bet the Kansas City Chiefs, you won. You're 1-2 now. Wow, you're going to the Super Bowl. Louisville Cardinals winning still. So make sure you check out. And by the way, if you're not into sports wagering, then there's risk-based gaming that you can go check out here all over the place. And look, there are people out here constantly playing this, winning tons of money. By the way, put your username in my live stream. You could win. You could win up to $50. I do a drawing almost every day. Terraport.io if you are Terraport.finance if you're looking for utility coins or meme coins in the Terra Luna Classic universe. And if you want the Belief meme coin, you can go check that out as well. So shout out to you. Meme coins, utility coins, no breakout right now, but we do have an update from Garuda DeFi. So the UI and smart contract are being tested on Garuda right now, and it seems to be very, very smooth at this point. Launch coming as soon as possible. Stay tuned. So you've got an update. Is it the giant update that everybody wants to see? Is it the big bells and whistles? No, but it is solid DeFi coming here. This is a peer-to-peer trading, which is a DEX that we've been needing for a long time. So this avoids the centralization of exchanges, like going to, my sponsor Weeks, which is where I go to trade my Luna Classic, stuff like that. So this is a really good opportunity for everybody to start to enhance their level of production, if you will, on the Terra Luna Classic blockchain. If you are a trader, Garuda DeFi is one of those places that you're going to want to be. So we haven't seen it reflect in the price yet, but I suspect that we will probably see that happening very, very soon. Otherwise, not a whole lot going on, and that's really testament to the way the market is currently working. So let's keep moving on here. Validators, remember, All Nodes is now #1 with a bullet, again up $1 billion. They've lost delegators overall, but they've gained delegation share, which is, that's all that really, really matters, I suppose. But AutoStake is now #2. AutoStake now participating, but they did, let's go look at what's going on over here. They did vote to abstain. So AutoStake was abstaining here. By the way, we have 2 days and 5 hours right now. And this to me, if I look at it right there, I think the pass threshold, I think we're almost at the pass threshold. So if somebody doesn't come in and start to tip the scale, and by the way, let's remember, we've got Happy Caddy Crypto, who's, in somewhere in a hospital with no internet. So, maybe they can roll him outside. Maybe he'll get a signal and he can vote. Maybe he'll vote yes. I don't know what I'm going to do, but right now we've got a couple of these people who have just kind of been sitting on the sidelines. Like, what are they waiting for? I don't really know. You've got Greenpeace who voted. And by the way, you gave them power. Let's not forget that. If your answer was yes and you gave it to Greenpeace, then you just got screwed. So if you thought no was the right answer, then this worked out perfectly for you. So that's a decision that you have to make when you're delegating to people. So, I want to see what Lunk Live does. I want to see what Happy Caddy Crypto does. You know what I mean? I want to see what all these people are doing and what they will do. And do they want progress? That's the question. Because, again, the way that they've done it so far has ruined this chain. I mean, you might disagree with me fundamentally because you're like, no, they're building on the chain. Every time I say something about Happy Caddy Crypto and how he's been a detriment for a period of time, you say, oh, no, because he's at least building something. Okay, so what? If I build a tiny castle in my sandbox, fine, but I'm missing the bigger castle on the beach where everybody else is. So building in my tiny little sandbox and making it look like I'm the king of a tiny little sandbox, that's stupid. What's smart is going to the beach where all the sand really comes from and going out there with all the people. Duh. By the way, if you're not thinking that way, you're not thinking clearly anyway. Your bag. Anyway, up to 17 million in trade volume, most of that coming from Binance. So we're starting to see a little interest, but it's not a whole lot yet. When you see this, I really like to see volume up to about 50 million before we really start talking about that and say there's something good that's going on right here. 48% decline in USTC. I don't see any reason to talk about it. Still haven't messed with Lunk Dash. I do have it installed on my phone, but I really haven't done, I got to import a seed phrase and stuff like that. So I haven't really done it yet. I'm getting to it. I might take everything back when I talk about Happy Caddy Crypto if I like. There, 235 million burned. That was because there was a gigantic burn up to 100 million yesterday, and look at today, already 100. And so some activity, some movements, some things are happening right now. We do have some burns. We do have people burning. So we'll see what happens with that. Now that is going to be your update for the day. No prediction. I think the market still has to, I think we're at the spot right now where it's max pain. We have 7 days left. We've got by the way, just to be very clear, on Friday of this week, we have the largest expiry in the history of cryptocurrency. This market is going to be incredibly volatile. Also, there might be another rate cut, but we had a Fed governor, I think the Atlanta Fed governor came out and said he sees no reason to cut rates until the end of the year. By the way, he is a minority opinion in that realm because immediately after that, another one came out and said, no, I think we need about 2 rate cuts by the end of the year. So there's no consensus with the Fed. We still need to see the data and information in the United States and see, is this the right move? We need jobs report. We're going to need to see what inflation looks like. By the way, I'm not feeling inflation ascending right now, and I've been very clear about it. I don't like gas price. I don't like things like that in the United States. I don't feel it the same way. Maybe there's a tick up in prices. I don't know. I just haven't felt it. Okay. I'm willing to say that there might be stuff that I'm not buying that, could be going up in price that might affect that overall, but I'm not feeling it. So I feel like maybe we've hit a top, but you know what? When you hit a top in crypto, then you have a little dump and then you go back to another and a higher top. So that's where inflation starts heating up. And that's it's called the bullwhip effect in the markets. And I think we might be experiencing a bullwhip effect. I'm nervous about that, but I'm hoping that the tariffs, that everything that Trump is doing right now is trying to, knit this thing back together, and we're going to have a gigantic moment in cryptocurrency very, very soon. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. It's not financial advice, but I'm always right.